7. Barrett outside, the switch. Doncic goes, oh, what a great step! And then he hammers it home! Broke his ankles! And he pounds it.
Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video. I hope you guys are doing well, and there we have it, y'all. The New York Knicks season is over, as the New York Knicks finished with a 37-45 record as the playoffs and the play-in is out of the picture. That is absolutely crazy to say that the New York Knicks season is over, and obviously didn't reach our expectations. We wanted to make the playoffs. We didn't even make the play-in. Obviously, the New York Knicks were not great this season. They really weren't, and we're just going to be talking about the season. But before we officially get into the video, I want to thank you guys so much for the great amount of support and just sticking with this channel. If it was last season or even this season as well, I'm going to continue to make content in the offseason draft, broad NBA content for agency, great videos of the players, and all that. And I can't wait to break it down with you guys, but thank you so much. This channel is not possible without you guys. It means the world to me that I'm able to come on, talk about the Knicks, talk about basketball, and I get to hear your guys' input. I may not agree with everyone's opinion, but it's an opinion at the end of the day. I'm not going to judge it because we also want what's best for this team moving forward. At the end of the day, we all want this team to be good. That's all that matters. So, like I mentioned, the New York Knicks finished with a 37-45 record, and if we were in the Western Conference, I believe that's good enough to make the play in there. But the Eastern Conference got a lot stronger this year. It really did. There's a lot more depth in the Eastern Conference, and the NBA as a whole has gotten better. Just these young teams have a lot of talent, and I think they're going to be really good in a few years. If you take a look at the Pistons, I like their pieces. The Rockets, they may be good in a few years. I think they both have tons of talent, but at the end of the day, you have to get the right coach, the right GM, just the right playbook to really put these players in a position to be successful. You need to see development and maturity from these basketball players. But let's go back to the offseason. Obviously, there were some notable pieces that we did go on to lose. If it's good, bad, everyone has their different types of opinions. So when you take a look at the starting lineup back to last year, we had Elfrid Payton starting, we had Reggie Bullock, we had RJ Barrett, we had Julius Randle, and then obviously we had Nerlens Noel starting a big majority of the season because Mitch went down, but we had Mitchell Robinson as our starting center. So we lost Reggie Bullock and we lost Elfrid Payton. So the New York Knicks were like, all right, we're gonna bring in bigger types of upgrades when it comes to the offensive side of the basketball. We believe in our defense, but we need more shot creators. We need more versatility to this offense. We bring in Kemba Walker, who's actually bought out by the Oklahoma City Thunder, and we get him on an extremely cheap deal. So we're like, okay, this is a boom or bust. Like, this is it's a low risk, high reward type of move. Worst case scenario, it doesn't work out. We didn't pay him a lot of money. Worst case scenario, he didn't work out. Kemba Walker did not work out. He did not stay healthy. There was a lot of questions with this team as well we're going to be getting into. But obviously, Kemba Walker did not work out. Bringing Evan Fournier, I thought he was solid for what Evan Fournier is. He brings a little bit of shot creation, even though you could say it's inconsistent. Sometimes you could say he does a little too much. He has that floater in his bag he goes to, which I actually do like. He has good touch. He can shoot it from the outside. But his defense is not there. That's the key thing. Kemba Walker's defense, Evan Fournier's defense is not there, even though you could say Evan Fournier's defense got better towards the end of the season. But there's two things to think about. There's blame to go around. Leon Rose, yes, he wanted to bring in the offense. But you have to realize what Tom Thibodeau's team is. This is the scary thing here. You need offense to be successful in the NBA. You really do. You need defense as well. It has to be well balanced. They both win NBA championships. But when you think of Tom Thibodeau's philosophy and his play style, it's slow, grinded out basketball with great defense. They thrive in the half-court setting. And Kemba Walker and Evan Fournier are the opposite of guys that are defensive players and grinded out types of basketball players. And so Leon Rose went away from Tom Thibodeau's philosophy, but then there's blame to go to Tom Thibodeau. Tom Thibodeau does not have a good offense. It is very outdated. There's barely any movement. There's barely any cutting. And as much as Kemba Walker is not the same player he used to be, we set him up to fail in this offense. Like, this offense is it's just bad. It is really bad. It's not modern day basketball. It is not. No one's consistently played throughout their strengths at all. We see Obi stand in the corner, RJ stand in the corner, or at least the beginning of the season. And that's what was kind of impressive about Obi, that he would have solid games and when he would actually get minutes, but he's still kind of restricted in this box. But obviously those guys don't work out, and we got off to a 6-1 start, but it was like, can this keep up? Because Kemba Walker hasn't proven to stay healthy in his career, and there's kind of an inconsistency because he's not really nearly the same player he used to be. And Tom Thibodeau's not really used to having this type of personnel that there's a lot of solid offensive players but not great consistent defensive players, or at least 2 out of the 5 players in the starting lineup. You could say RJ Barrett kind of inconsistent defensively. He started off strong, fell off. Maybe that ankle injury is a part of it, but yeah, you could say Randle wasn't a great defender this year either with his effort and all that. So we bring back Nerlens Noel. So yeah, Kemba Walker doesn't work out. Evan Fournier, for what he is, I thought he was solid. I feel like he'd be looked at a lot differently if he didn't have that contract and he was coming off the bench, in my opinion. So Kemba Walker doesn't work out. Evan Fournier, for what he is, I thought he was solid. Still not the best. He's not a starting caliber player, but I thought he was solid for what he is. Bring back Derrick Rose. Played well, got hurt. Nerlens Noel, we brought back, played well, got hurt. Or at least played okay. We bring back Alec Burks, inconsistency, but he's been almost on every NBA team. There's a reason he's been on almost every NBA team. He's inconsistent. And there's blame to go to Tom Thibodeau. Burks was played out of position. He was played at the damn point guard position. I know he played a little tweener of that in Utah with Johnny Bryant, so that's one of the reasons he did play at point guard. But that just shows Tom Thibodeau right there. His lack of wanting to go to the youth movement and experiment with Immanuel Quickley. Don't get me wrong, Immanuel Quickley, you could say there was a lot more bad than good from him this season. Like, he started off horrible, or he was bad for a few months or a couple months. He eventually finished the season pretty strong, but you could say his playmaking wasn't the greatest at the beginning. Like, it's okay to say that he struggled. Like, he had great progression towards the end of the season with his playmaking, but when the season's kind of lost, see, I don't have a problem with Burks starting. Like, yes, he's not a point guard, and it's crazy for me to say that. But where we were at that point of Quickley's progression of playmaking wasn't there. McBride really young. Like, we barely had any options at that point of the season. But when it comes to Burks' experience and all that, trying to win basketball games, I really do understand that. But when the season's fading away, you play Immanuel Quickley at point guard. The season is lost. You see what you have out of the guys moving forward. And the New York Knicks did that too late, in my opinion. I thought we did it too late. So, yeah, Noel didn't stay healthy. I brought up those guys. We bring back Taj Gibson. Taj Gibson, NBA veteran. He's a great guy now for the youth movement. I really understand it. But it's unacceptable for Taj Gibson that he got more minutes per game. Maybe after last game it changed. But before last game, or maybe it didn't change. Taj Gibson got more minutes per game than Obi Toppin this season. That's unacceptable. That is just absolutely unacceptable. I don't know what to say about that. Disgusting. But yeah, it was like, can Kemba Walker stay healthy? Can Evan Fournier be consistent as a ball player? Can Noel stay healthy? Can D. Rose stay healthy? Can Julius Randle repeat and be an all-star? Will RJ be consistent the entire season? I understand it's hard for him to be consistent when Randle is this black hole, but there was moments where, like at the beginning of the season, you couldn't defend RJ. Wasn't finishing at the basket, wasn't hitting his open shots. We're going to be getting into that. But we should have looked ourselves in the mirror more, or at least like when we were optimistic. This was in the back of my head, though. How will Randle's going to put up his points, but will his basketball IQ go up? How will he fit with these other guys? How will the fit be? And he's had more mediocre or solid years than good years throughout his career. He was fantastic last year when he was an all-star. But will that continue? Will that continue when fans come back? Will that continue when defenses really key in on him? And it did not continue. He averaged 20 to 21 points per game, but he was extremely inefficient. Huge decline when it came to free throw shooting. Huge decline from shooting from the outside. You could say he should have played more inside out, but it's hard to tell that to a player that he should play inside out after the year he had last year. So he's kind of brainwashed into thinking that's his play style and he could succeed as a number one option that way. But it wasn't just him not being efficient or not just him having these crazy numbers or anything like that. It's his lack of effort. His body language, awful. To starting altercations when they didn't need to be started. He lets people get in his head way too easy, thumbing down the crowd, storming off the court when we won a basketball game. His effort on defense, unacceptable. It was just so awful to see Julius Randle with stupid fadeaways as well. Just bad shot selection, bad basketball IQ. Teams knew he couldn't deal with a double team. I'm not going to talk about Randle that much because I've talked about Randle a lot before, and I'm done with him. I'm done with his body language. He's a black hole. He doesn't fit. The only way he fits in an offense is if he accepts a role somewhere else, playing off the ball. There's less thinking, him cutting, utilizing his athleticism. Even though I don't think he's a crazy athlete, he's a good enough athlete to be in that type of role. But will he accept that? Because obviously we gave him this contract down to max, but him slamming the laptop of like our assistant coach, just he's not clutch, and he still continues to think he's clutch. Like, I understand the confidence, but he's just not a player that could deal with the bright lights. His attitude is absolutely unacceptable. It is very bad. And it's more than just playing. When you have a bad attitude and you're starting to become uncoachable, that's not a great thing. But obviously, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. We could say there's blame to go to Tom Thibodeau for not holding Randle accountable, but you could say Tom Thibodeau has no choice but to treat Randle differently. I'm not defending Tom Thibodeau, but notice how Tom Thibodeau yells at Obi, yells at Quickly. You could say that's just because he hates the young guys, but then you could also look at the other side of the coin. Tom Thibodeau's like, Obi Toppin and Emmanuel Quickly, they're mentally tough. They're extremely mentally tough. They can deal with the criticism. Maybe he doesn't yell at Randle because he's like, he can't deal with criticism, but then maybe you could look at the other side of the coin, like maybe he's babying him because he had this amazing year last year and he's still looking at that side of him. But Julius Randle shoving Cam Johnson, just ruining the overall momentum of games. It's just way too much, and Randle really needs to be moved on from. We can't afford to take that risk of bringing him back next year and just allowing or just stunning the development of RJ, stunning the development of Obi Toppin. And you even saw when he wasn't out there on the floor. Again, I appreciate what he did last year, but what's going on this year? When he was out there on the floor, we were playing worse. There was no ball movement. We played a team brand of basketball when Julius Randle was out. And if Randle continues to be a Knick and he's here next year, I'm going to wish him the best of luck. I'm still going to root for him, but we just can't bring him back. We just can't. Like I said, with his attitude, his body language, his just isolation basketball, it just doesn't work. It's just not going to work here. But again, I wish Randle the best of luck, but that's where the season kind of went downhill. When your star player is not playing up to par, then the season's not going to be there. It's not going to be good. And you could say RJ Barrett got off to a slow start because of Julius Randle's play style and him standing in the corner. But then again, there's certain things you can't defend with RJ, missing open threes, not finishing at the basket, his handle sloppy at times. Like, you have to accept when RJ Barrett's playing bad, but then when we put the ball in RJ Barrett's hands more, he started to feel more comfortable, like he was back at his Duke days and played better basketball. But Randle just takes the flow or takes the rhythm out of all these guys. But like I said, Tom Thibodeau also has to realize, like, maybe we should simplify the offense more for everyone or for Julius Randle. But Tom Thibodeau didn't make adjustments offensively. He didn't. He deserves some blame in that offense as well. And he maybe needed to hold him accountable more, but maybe he's that type of personality. You do have to treat him differently. And there was even reports coming out of the locker room, who knows if they're true or not, that people were treated unequally or some people were held more accountable than others. But for Randle to not play the best of basketball and also for him to, or not even the best of basketball, not good basketball, and for us to still barely play Obi, and for him to still continue to get those minutes, get these unearned minutes of not playing great ball. I understand he got the contract, but Randle wasn't up to par. He got his points, great. You look at his points per game, you're like, wow, he looked like an all-star. But then you look at the efficiency, awful. The tape of his shot selection, his body language, not trying on defense, unacceptable. Just terrible awareness, not recognizing when guys are open. Just setting a terrible example with starting shit. It's just bad. It just looks like he's jealous. But maybe those things are true, that he texted Obi after the game and all that, but who knows. RJ Barrett got off to this very shaky start. Like, RJ Barrett finished the season extremely strong. He did, when he was averaging like 26 points per game, like towards the end of the season. But we also have to realize a part of us not playing well, RJ not playing well. He had a great month, then fell off. Like, because I was a part of the wagon that I was like, he proved he could play solid with Randle. Like, he had that really good month. So whatever he was doing before was working, and he's just not playing good ball. So RJ is one of the hardest players to evaluate when you have Julius Randle on your basketball team. He is very hard to evaluate, but RJ Barrett, he played very well towards the end. Or you could say the second half, since All-Star break, he was unbelievable. Obviously, he had that month that he was shooting like under 20% or 20%. It was really bad. But it's just so hard to evaluate RJ when you have Julius Randle. But RJ Barrett's defense, you could say, wasn't great. At least since his ankle injury. I thought he started off playing pretty well defensively, but his defense fell off. I thought he showed progression as a passer. A little bit of shooting off the dribble, still needs to get better there. But at the end of the day, as much as we like RJ Barrett, we could say it's him not being put in the position to be successful, him being frozen out of the offense. He shot 40% from the field. He shot bad from the free throw line. He wasn't a consistent finisher. He needs to expand his game offensively, and he's a hard worker. I believe he will do that, but he still has room to grow. But he's someone that's mentally tough. He showed that he could be clutch down the stretch of games and just be fearless. But defense needs to consistently hit his outside shot, needs to consistently finish, needs to learn to shoot consistently off the dribble if we want him to be a top option one day. There's just a lot that goes into RJ's handle as well. Like, I believe I made a video on RJ. I've made tons of videos on RJ. But I'm proud of his progression. He just needs to become more efficient. His shot selection needs to improve. But, yes, RJ deserves some blame as well. Why the season went not where we wanted. Fournier was inconsistent defensively. He had months he shot it well. Like, Evan Fournier was inconsistent not just by games, but just like quarter by quarter. But that's a part of freezing him out of the offense. Just not having him in a consistent rhythm as well. Like, just so much bad went into the season. Mitchell Robinson actually stayed relatively healthy. But we know Mitch isn't going to be this pop player to put the team on his back offensively. As much as we like Mitch. Or at least Mitch could be a solid player for us. But I thought we played the young guys too late. Tibbs was extremely stubborn with his rotations. He lost his games with rotations. When Reddish would be playing very well, it looks like we won. Or Grimes is out there, puts Burks in. Burks single-handedly freaking loses us games. But again, he's being played out of position. But just when it comes to rotations, not consistently holding everyone accountable, just the offense, sometimes running zone when zone didn't even have to be run defensively. Just giving certain assignments to players that didn't match the personnel. Again, the bland-ass offense. Just so much goes into it. It's really hard to just nitpick one thing because everyone deserves blame, from Leon Rose, Tom Thibodeau, the players. Like, it was awesome to see Obi Toppin when he played, him getting an opportunity. But also you have to take a look at defenses aren't keyed in on him yet, so I'm not completely sold, even though I am very happy. Quickly had amazing progression in the second half or towards the very end. His efficiency went up, his playmaking got better, his shots started to fall again because he had a moment that, like, a month or a couple months, he couldn't hit the side of the barn at all. You got to see some promise from Quentin Grimes. He's shown to be a 3-and-D player. Finally, the Knicks have realized, oh, maybe it's smart to just have someone that can defend outside on the perimeter, be strong, physical, which is the recipe for success in today's NBA. A 3-and-D type of basketball player can do it like a little bit of both on both ends of the floor. Then you take a look at Jericho Sims. We took him with the 58th overall pick, and I think he's really cemented himself as a potential backup 5 on the New York Knicks moving forward. Sets hard screens, he's physically strong, does a great job rolling to the basket, and he just doesn't give up on a play. I love the way Jericho Sims plays. He does a great job boxing out, really positioning himself, rebounding the basketball. He is raw when he's not in the dunker spot. Literally, that's the only way he's able to provide offensively. But he's even, like, shown that he's not afraid to take a little hook shot there and there. He hasn't shown it a lot, but he does a solid job passing it out of the post or when he's in the dunker spot. He's an aware player of consistently helping the team move the basketball and not taking them out of this rhythm. So Jericho Sims was a nice find at 58. I really do like Jericho Sims. He's a quiet dude, but he works extremely hard and plays relentless, doesn't give up on a play. Miles McBride, I did like his defense. I liked his tenacity when he was out there on the floor. We're not sure what his ceiling is offensively because he doesn't get consistent minutes yet, but I do look at him as like a light Marcus Smart. So those are some positives there. But Tom Thibodeau, it's just, we have to bring him up again. He's just stuck in his old ways. He just really is stuck in his old ways. You see the best coaches, they're able to adapt. Greg Popovich, he's been able to adapt his offense back when he was coaching in the 90s. Like, the best coaches are able to adapt to the environment in the brand new NBA. Tom Thibodeau has not been able to do that, and the sad thing is he's so stubborn that he thinks what he's doing is going to really equal an NBA championship. Someone brought up a great point, my man Buzzer Beater, that Tom Thibodeau wants to win. Well, he didn't say this in quote, but this is what I took away from it. Tom Thibodeau wants to win, or he's only willing to win his own way. If he really wanted to win and win that championship one day, or be one, like, even a better coach, he would be willing to adjust and do it a different way and experiment. Tom Thibodeau's not done that. We need a younger, more offensive-minded guy that's willing to make adjustments, hold everyone accountable, treat everyone equally, Tom Thibodeau's just not the guy. We need to look towards the future with some youth movement. He's the guy that's going to install this great work ethic into these young guys, but you're not going to win the big thing with. I know it's hard as a Knicks fan hearing, win the big thing, I just want to be good. But I just don't see a longevity, consistent winner with Tom Thibodeau. You see the falling out with the organization already. Him not on the same page with Worldwide West and just the organization. We saw that in Minnesota. But let me know down below in the comment section. Where do you think it went wrong? Obviously, inconsistency of RJ. Like at the beginning of the season, he was amazing in the second half. Still needs to be more efficient. Julius Randle was just not flat out not efficient. When you have only 6 or 7 games of shooting 50% from the field, he has to go, his attitude and all that. Everything that can go wrong with our free agency signings just went wrong. And we played the young guys too late. When it was a lost season, we didn't play the young guys. Just Tom Thibodeau never thinks the season's over. That's the thing. But just also like freaking playing RJ Barrett, like when we had the game sealed, or I believe we were going to lose a game, just playing RJ when he didn't have to be played and he got hurt that one time. And oh my gosh, he just does that with every player. He did that freaking Derrick Rose. He plays players when it's unnecessary. He does. Just the minutes, just the rotation, just so much is bad with Tom Thibodeau. I understand that he loves the game, but if he loves the game so much, why can't he make simple adjustments? Let me know down below your thoughts. Where do you think it went wrong? And peace out, y'all.